Alright, so welcome back to Deliver Coding. In this video, we're going to continue from part 4. In the previous part, we be able to get the user login with GitHub and Google. And in this part, we're going to focus on state management and how do we trigger when the change the page to the home page when the user is authenticated. So right now, if I try to access the home page, I cannot because I am unauthenticated, even though we register, but because we have not updated the state yet, so it's not going to let us go to the home page. So alright, so let's get started. So before doing so, I like to refactor some of this code a little bit. So instead of call this one register page, I'm gonna call this one as to be authentication page, and hit save this one, so it's gonna auto first. And then also I'm gonna create the folder called view that is gonna contain what we can see in here. And yes, and also I'm gonna pass the register right here into the view as well. So now we hit save this one, save register, and save container logins. And we should go here and refresh. That should be the same. Alright, so now let's focus on our state. So for the state right here, it's gonna be, I'm gonna put the auth authentication state to be global because then we can use it anywhere to check if whether we authenticate or not. So for that, I'm gonna create a folder called share state. Share state, or we can just share. And then in share right here, we're gonna have some state provider folder called state, and also later on we're gonna create a folder called hook as well and share right here. So the state right here, or maybe I can call this one. Okay, we can call this state, and then I'm going to create a file called authstate .js. So I'm gonna use reducer in React. So for that, first we need to create a state auth state, and then it's an object that we're gonna value is auth here. It's gonna by default it's gonna be false. And next we need to auth reducer is gonna be equal to state. This is like a parameter in here, and then we have some action. Now we can destructure this one with the type and the payload. And then in here it's gonna have like the method that's gonna define like an action for the update the state. So right now I'm gonna export this one, the auth state, with the auth reducer. And so next we need to inject this auth state into the global so that we can use it anywhere in our application. So for that, I'm going to create a file in source right here called injections. Injection.js. So with the injection right here, we're gonna use the a context provider. So all right, so wait a minute. Okay, so first I'm gonna OFC right here, and then we need to context provider. So when we use context provider, we need to create a context. So I'm gonna export cont inject context right here. It's gonna be equal to React. We can just select create context, and we import the create context right here. And then we need to create the injection right here. Now we call inject. This is like a inject provider. Inject provider. And for this one, it's gonna have a children, so that we can put our app inside here. And then what we return, we want to return the inject provider dot provider right here. So and then we pass the children inside. So the children will have the, okay, it's one line right here. And then what we need to pass is the pass of the value. So what value that we want to provide as a global is the auth state right here. So then we're gonna use this one. So we're gonna use reducer, and the reducer will take initial and its state and the reducer. So that's gonna be auth state right here and auth reducer. So auth reducer and auth state. And instead of call this one in here, I call this one the auth provider. And then we're gonna pass this one into as a global and then auth provider right here. Perfect. So use reducer right here. We need to import this one from this one. And now we need to inject this one into our app. Instead of going and checking here, we can go into this one and we can do the inject provider, and then we can do it here, and then we can import inject provider from injection from the file in injection right here. Alright, so now it has failed. So in injection we have cannot be state or state and state. Okay, this is not from auth state, so it's from auth reducer. It's from share, and the share here we have some state and auth state right here. And also we can call it this one auth state right here as well. No, auth state. Perfect. So now if I try to refresh, I think everything should work the same. Perfect. So then what we need to do next is to inside the route right here. Let's try to use what we have built in here. Oh, so next we need to create a hook that we can use the value. So use the auth state. So for that, we can create a hooks, a share hook. This one we call use auth state, or we can use auth provider .js, and we need to import use context from React. Not this one, is context this one. And then we need to use auth provider, and then we can get the structure auth provider from the use context right here. So use context, with so then we can pass inject context. So we can from the injection right here, and then we can use the auth provider, and then we're gonna return the auth provider, and then we can export before use auth provider. Use auth provider. Perfect. So now we can use these hooks anywhere, and then we will access to the auth provider. So now let's try to use it in this state. Instead of getting the auth here, so for now I'm gonna do test first. So so the auth state, we can destructure this one in an auth reducer. I'm gonna call this one auth dispatch equal to use auth provider from our hook, and then we can console log the auth state. And then we will see that the auth state here is going to show us like the auth is full. So for that, this one we're not going to use. I'm going to underscore this one. Instead of passing auth from here, what we can do is to, I think it should be, yeah. So, and we can get the is auth by the structure from this one equal to auth state. And then we can use is auth if is auth, and then we need to pass the auth into here as well. If auth equal to is auth. and it should work the same. But if I try to go into the auth state here and change it to be true, and it's redirect me to home. Perfect. So and in home, change this one to be 4. Alright, so next we need to update the auth where we click on register with Google and GitHub right here. So for that we need to go into the page view right here, and then in here I'm gonna create the folder called hooks, and then I'm called this one use register user. Use register user.js. And so for this one is we can't use register user. So we want to separate our business logic from the view. So then we don't want to update the state inside here. So we can use everything inside this one right here. So we can call function register, and then for the register, so let's say like register user, because we have one function register already. So I'm gonna call a service from register service right here. Alright, so it's use require. So we need to import a register from out here, and then we go into service, then auth service right here. Perfect. And then the register needs a provider, so we need to pass the provider from here as well as the parameter, and then pass it into here. And then we need to async await this guy, and then we need to, from this one, we need to return register user, and then we need to export use register user, use export default use register user. Okay, so we have this one, nothing crazy, and for now I'm just return this one. I'm gonna call the result rest right here. We can just console log this one, and in register right here, in register and component login right here, instead of use register right here, we go into register user equal to use register user, and then we're gonna change this one within here, register user, Control V, and then Control V. I think for the auth service here we have some problem. Let me see. Okay, so the hook service does not contain a default export. Okay, yep, because we need to pass this destructor, this one. Perfect. If I refresh, and if I still log in again, this time it worked the same. Then it should display this one right here. Perfect. So I need to remove this one from service, because in the service right here I console log this one. Okay, I delete this one, and alright, so we go back into reduce register right here. So after we get the rest right here, we can update our auth. So for that we can hunt the auth state and auth dispatch, and equal to use auth provider. And this one we're not going to use this one. We interested in an auth dispatch. So in auth dispatch right here, after we get the rest, what we want to do is we want to dispatch. So we want to pass the type is going to be update auth, and then we're going to pass the payload. Payload here is just like a parameter, and it's going to be true. And then we need to go into auth state right here. Then we need to do the switch case right here, switch types. So case update update auth. So it needs to match the type that we provide right here. So the update auth and it needs to be matched, and then we need to return. So is off. So since we have only one value in here, we just can do like this, and then we need to do the default. It's throw new error. So if they do not use any type in here, we're gonna throw an error. If you have a crazy, like, you know, a lot of state, you can just spread the state right here, which is perfect fine. But since we have only one, I can just use like this. And now whenever we register, it's gonna update the state, and then we're gonna update this one to true. No, it's just using from payload right here. We can pass the payload to be true, so then it will update to be true. And then inside the route here, then it will also listen from the state right here. Its path is gonna redirect us to home. All right, so let's test it. So now if I in here, then it should return me to home page. All right, so which is fail. Okay, that is fine. So throw new error. Okay, I think there's some problem with the payload or if us right here. All right, okay, I see, because we have thrown an error, because let's see, that's good, because the update right here we do not say update, we say update, what, whatever. So I'm gonna again, so now we register with GitHub, and this time we should be able to stay home. Perfect. But if we refresh, it's not gonna this one, so because we not update the user stay logged in yet. So for that, we finish the state, and next we're going to do the in the next video, we're going to make users stay persistent and log in. So yeah, I think that's it for this video, and so see you guys in the next video, and please don't forget to subscribe, and all right, peace.